high.
You juggalos out there, wipe that clown makeup off your faces.
Cast the monstrosities of the world.
Well,
I used to date Levy.
no kidding.
No kidding, folks. Till 5 Wrestling is back in the house. We're back. We're here. Let's just get into it, folks. We got to talk about JCW.
That's right.
JCW 70. So I want to address one thing here first. Why the fuck is Jonathan Coachman on JCW? He was never that funny. He was never that entertaining. Why do we need him on this show? I would much rather have more Vito segments than to have Coach on.
Listen, I'll be flat honest with you. I've been waiting until we did the show to say this. As a Ruthless Aggression era fan, I popped hard to see Coach's Corner on JCW. I hope we keep seeing it. I actually hope Coach starts managing some of the heel wrestlers. I like the Coach. I've always thought he was funny. I'm down with it.
Well, I hope that Barnabas and the Outbreak kick the shit out of him as much as he wants to dog on them.
Coach, because he's a good heel. He pisses you off. He's done a wonderful job of that already, it seems.
Well, you want him to manage people. I love the Outbreak. Let's just go ahead and go into the steel cage match. And the fuckery calls there with Chopper City. Maybe these two jackasses can be Coach's sidekicks.
That honestly would not surprise me, first of all. I thought for a second, I said, oh, the Street Profits got their release. And I paid a little bit closer attention. I was like, nope. Not the Street Profits. These guys are Steel City Choppers. Is that what you said? Steel City Choppers?
I thought they were Chopper City. Yeah. Chopper something.
Chopper City, yeah. Sorry.
I can't wait till they get beat up by the zombies.
I give them credit. I give them credit for bringing an unknown to me. I don't know about their indie circuit, but to the main audience, an unknown team debuting that way is an interesting move, really.
It is. I really would have much preferred for the Outbreak to get the tag team titles back. And I don't know. I just felt like it was kind of a flat debut.
I'm not sure if they're trying to tell me. I think they might be trying to tell us Chopper City might be relevant here soon. Like, I think that this may be somebody that we see in the tag division, especially with the
we've said several times the tag division needs some growth. So
yeah, I'm totally okay with it. We'll see what happens. I've never seen the guys work, so I'm not really sure what to expect. But I'm looking forward to it.
Another travesty that I think we need to address here. To me, if you win by disqualification, you've won. So let's give Caleb Conley that world title shot since it was on the line.
Well, it wasn't. If it was for a title, I could see it, but it wasn't for a title. Therefore, he is the number one contender in my eyes.
Yeah. It was for a title shot. So give it to Caleb. He's earned it. Another person who's earned something that I think we need to address is Mosh Pit Mike.
The Mosh Pit Mike turnaround has been so special here for Till 5 Wrestling.
Usually it takes a long time for me to turn around on somebody. Mosh Pit Mike has done it in like 2 months. He's endeared himself to me.
Jasmine Barnes while they were on the show said, if you don't like Mosh Pit Mike this week, just wait.
Yeah.
They were right. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was Jasmine that said on the show here that eventually he'll come around and do a gimmick that you'll say, oh, shit, I get it now.
Yeah. Well, and he did that with me with Terry Funk, and he's continued to be enjoyable. He picks up the win this week over Ninja Mac, former North American champion.
That's very surprising to me.
Well, that's what happens when Facade decides to interject himself into things.
Well, that does happen.
Yeah, see, this is the bullshit. We need to keep Facade out of there. Let matches happen.
Okay, I will say this while we're on the concept of let matches happen. DQs are becoming a lot.
Well, not just that, the run-ins.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I get that we're going for that Attitude Era feat. but it doesn't have to be
And I
every
get
week.
that, and it is the Attitude Era people. Because every single match in the Attitude Era was a DQ or a no contest or a run-in. I totally understand that, but at the end of the day, wrestling has evolved to a greater point. We can have some good matches and still tell stories without run-ins.
Well, now, one match that didn't have run-ins necessarily and had a clear-cut winner was the main event. As Vito's,
I like the main event.
Vito's new monsters, Mickey Knuckles, and PCO. That's Perfect Creation 1. Right, Joe Dombrowski? Right? Yeah, I love that tag team.
Mickey has won me over in the last few weeks. I like Mickey and Vito. I like the way they play off each other. It's very interesting and unique the way because you just don't expect Vito and Mickey Knuckles in the same sentence. So it's been really cool. Yeah, it's been really cool. I like it.
Yeah, I have enjoyed this. The story they're telling here with Mickey, I need more than money, and her trying to seduce Vito. Might be a match made in hell.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool what they're doing there. And honestly, we say it almost every week, but my God, Vito's doing the best work of his life in JC.
Oh, Vito
every week, dude. The guy's just better and better.
Vito has stolen the show, and now that Vito's got Mickey to take care of him, that means he doesn't necessarily need to go see our friend Hot Donna rolling in the foothills of the Smokies at Green Hemp Company at 2560 East Andrew Johnson Highway, Suite 3 in Greenville, Tennessee. You can call them at 423-609-7138 and get all of the quality THC products you could need. Go see our good friends at Green Hemp Company and tell them that Till 5 sent you. You like that one? I noticed
like
the pop
that one. Any
there.
segue for Hot Dog Vito works for me. I popped every time.
Now we've made some friends in podcasting and wrestling online shows and all that fun shit. One of them we've really hit it off with is Card Subject to Change. Make sure to check them out. They had an interview with Michael Elgin. They had the Wizard CZ and Never Full Nick Bull or
Never Wrong Nick Bull.
Yeah. Never Full Nick Bull.
I think it's Eugene Dinsmore, but I'm pretty sure.
Well, they interviewed Michael Elgin.
Nick Dinsmore.
Don't call it a comeback. Elgin he's touring the pods and he is promoting his upcoming show. So I figured why not go ahead and put over Michael Elgin here so our viewers can learn about it.
So here's the deal. I'll start right here. Everybody knows you don't have to comment on the episode and tell us that Michael Elgin had some controversy. If you cared enough about controversy, you would look into the court dockets and realize that Elgin has been cleared of all wrongdoing.
Yep.
Which is why we're talking about it.
That's something that we need to start doing is covering these guys who were canceled or girls that are canceled for no reason.
Some folks didn't deserve it, guys. Listen, the speaking out movement was a great thing to happen to wrestling, but it was very divisive because there was also a lot of guys and gals that did not deserve to lose their jobs and lose their credibility.
I mean,
but we'll get into that right now.
Yeah, go ahead, Michael Elgin.
Right now, we're talking about Michael Elgin. So he would debut on the Indies in 2004, and he would quickly catch eyes in Ring of Honor. He had tryout matches in 2007, 8, and 9, before eventually signing in 2010 as part of the House of Truth. Now,
Sweet
Michael Elgin, sweet mullet at that time. He won the 2011 Survival of the Fittest tournament, which is cool. In September 2012, he would leave the House of Truth and turn on Roderick Strong and have some really excellent matches with Roderick. That's one thing I want to keep in mind about Mike Elgin. Excellent work.
Hell of a worker.
Excellent work.
Yeah.
Especially if you were in Ring of Honor during this era, you could work.
Yeah. Elgin and Jay Briscoe were always fun to see.
Yes, sir.
Because those were two good, hard-hitting. Well, that's actually Jay won the belt from Elgin.
Yeah, he did. And Elgin won the belt from Adam Cole at Best in the World 2014. But then he started having some visa issues This is where the whole Canadian thing started to kick him in the ass. Sometimes Canadian indie wrestlers in the States get screwed by visa issues. And that happened. But in late 2014, he'd return as a disgruntled employee, which was kind of a cool gimmick for a minute. And then
and that was the beauty of ROH. They could blend that.
Yeah, that realism into it.
Yeah.
And then he would win Survival of the Fittest again in 2015. He's the only wrestler ever to win it twice. Due to different disputing reasons, I'm not really sure the actual reason, he left Ring of Honor in early 2016. And from there, he would wrestle mainly in PWG and New Japan until 2019. And in New Japan, they really liked him there. He was an Intercontinental champ, never openweight champ, and never openweight six-man champ for the Yoshitatsu and Hiroshi Tanahashi. Which, if you hold any tag team belt with Tanahashi, they like you there.
Fair.
And then he would join in 2019, he would join Impact. At that time, Impact was in Canada. Mike was from Canada. He didn't have to worry about visa issues. He could continue. He could work TNA and not have any issues.
Had some fun matches with John Morrison and Brian Cage.
I specifically remember his matches with Brian Cage, and I really enjoyed them. That's how I was introduced to both guys originally, before going back and falling in love with Ring of Honor and all that good stuff. But his matches with Johnny Mundo or Johnny Impact were great. And then the pandemic happened and the allegations happened, which is a real shame. He would briefly return to Pro Wrestling Noah, where he would win the GHC tag team titles, but was actually stripped and kicked out of Japan for stealing, they say. Of course, Michael Elgin disputes that.
Yeah.
But, Matt Sydal also can't wrestle in Japan because of a little weed. So, it happened.
Well,
strict.
So, I actually got to see a lot of his ROH run.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually there for his world title win at Best in the World.
Wow, that's awesome.
Streamers galore. Super nice guy. I got to meet him briefly after the show. So, and I've met him at a few indie shows over the years. Elgin's a hell of a worker, and a lot of people need to give this guy another chance. So, don't call it a comeback. Michael Elgin, hopefully he's coming to a town near you, and y'all can go see a hell of a worker. Another guy that was a hell of a worker, especially in his TNA run.
Still is a hell of a worker.
Still is. But let's face it, Elijah Burke was a mid thing.
In WWE, unfortunately, he was.
He never caught on. So in OVW 2004, he didn't really do a lot there while there. He ended up debuting on SmackDown in 2006 alongside Sylvester Terkay, which
but
was
he was Terkay's corner man. Terkay was a legitimate MMA fighter that Vince. That's another guy for this segment, really, that we could use. Vince really sunk his teeth into, but then didn't.
Yeah, I remember them coming out and it looking very much like a coach and a badass.
And Burke was good in this role, man, because he had great mic skills.
Always has.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Terkay would leave the WWE not long after debuting, and then Burke would end up in the ECW.
In a way, this would work out for Burke briefly, because Vince dubbed him on a live thing as the future of ECW. And then he started leading the New Breed stable, which consisted of Monty Brown / Marcus Corvon, whatever you want to call him, Kevin Thorne, Mike Knox, and CM Punk, kind of, sort of.
Matt Striker.
Oh, Matt Striker, yes, Matt Striker was in it as well.
And Punk lied to him, turned on him at WrestleMania.
And then joined the ECW original.
Yeah.
They would feud with the ECW originals. They had that WrestleMania moment, as you mentioned. And then he would just kind of jump around ECW as people left and were injured and this and that. And from there, he'd pick up a lot of injuries and miss a lot of time.
As I understand it, there was a lot of talk about him being very stiff in the WWE back in the day. So I'm sure that didn't help, especially that probably caused a lot of the injuries for him.
Now, when they did bring him back briefly for ECW, right before he was released, he had started an alliance with Shelton Benjamin that actually looked really promising when Shelton was the gold standard.
I'm going to be honest, I'd checked out of ECW by that point.
It was promising. There was some promising things still happening there at that point. It just wasn't getting any recognition.
Yeah. So that's why Elijah is a mid thing.
Now
don't get that confused with the Pope, because Pope was pimping.
And I will say that when we do these next mid-thing segments, we don't do them because we dislike the wrestler. We do them because, for whatever reason, their pushes failed.
And they just became mid.
Yeah.
That character became mid.
Yeah.
Another group that became mid.
Yeah.
Hindsight being 2020, the Oddities.
So
now, you know that we're down with the clowns around here nowadays.
Yeah.
Let me hear it, Tam.
Whoop whoop.
There we go. So, following the Truth Commission, Jackal would start the Oddities.
Mm-hmm.
And you had Luna Vachon, you had Giant Silva, Kurgan, Golga, who was Earthquake in a mask because Vince didn't want somebody that old on his television.
Well, I think that Vince also didn't want the character. He didn't want the fans to say, "Holy shit, that's Earthquake."
Probably.
100 different ways. That wasn't the right way, probably, but whatever.
No, that could have been somebody easily marketed as a main event guy.
And especially for a guy that talented, that had always been that talented, that could still work that well.
Yep. So eventually, Jackal, aka Cyrus, aka Don Callis, would leave the Oddities, and they would become faces and start having fun.
Yeah, they were reintroduced by Sable. I did not know this. During Sable's big babyface run where she was feuding with Mark Nero, she introduced them as babyfaces, which I thought was weird.
That tracks.
Yeah.
SummerSlam in, 98, I believe?
Yes.
ICP would actually play them to the ring.
Yep.
Would sing their entrance, and supposedly there was always some royalties issues there that ICP never got the money they were supposed to, which
well,
I think
W either, but they didn't have
led to their departure from the WWE. But they'd have a couple of feuds there with Too Much, which would become Too Cool, and the Headbangers, Disciples of Apocalypse, which was Chains, 8 Ball. That's
at that point, I believe it was just the Harris twins left.
Oh, well, that's kind of
because Brian Adams had already went back to Crush had already went to WCW, and Brian Lee was back in ECW at that point.
Okay, well, yeah, there you go. So it was just the Harris twins.
It was my most memorable thing for them. I unapologetically love Kai and Tai. I love Funaki and Taka.
Choppy, your pee-pee.
I love that shit. That's so funny to me.
I enjoyed them beating the hell out of Val Venus on a regular basis.
Anybody that I wish they would have cut Val Venus's dick off.
Well, then he could be Gal Venus, and he'd really appreciate that.
Hey, everybody that is listening to this, make sure you hashtag Gal Venus in the comments here. That.
So George Steele actually ends up joining the Oddities briefly.
Which tracks. For whatever reason, I think it's funny that they wouldn't let Earthquake be Earthquake, but then they brought in George Steele, who was like 20 years older.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense with Vince. But the Oddities would kind of fade away before WrestleMania in 99, and that was it. Eventually, ICP would pop up in WCW. Kurgan would go on to be in movies.
Kurgan would end up having a pretty decent film career.
Yeah, he did.
Giant Silva went to New Japan and had a great run tagging with the Great Khali, actually, if you can believe that.
Okay.
They were very over during that era of skyscraper wrestlers in the early 2000s of Japan.
Well, and that's the Oddities.
Luna went on to manage Goldust briefly. Luna's fucking underrated, man. Luna was awesome.
Sure, why didn't we cover Luna on you know what? We'll get her on a tangent.
We got to do Paul Bearer too.
Yeah, we do. Damn. We got to get both of those done before Friday, March the 13th, where we're going to hopefully finally do our greatest manager of all time tournament, as it's been rescheduled twice already.
Yeah, unfortunately, guys, shit has happened here to us. We've been sick. We've been dealing with crazy Kentucky weather.
Yeah, there's been a lot of issues with electricity and water damage coming through. And if you're watching the show and you've had some water damage, maybe you need to go see our other sponsors at Stover's Liquidation, particularly their location in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. at 481 Tulsa Road, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. 865-523-4449 is the phone number to reach them. They're open from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. You can get them 24 hours online at www.stoversliquidation.com. All right.
Now, Aaron, for this next segment, here is a segment that has been on the books for us since when we were originally talking about this show.
This one is one that it hits home for me. I was a very big fan of Daffney and notoriously legendary Daffney, aka Shannon Spurl. But I love Daffney. From day one, the character was great. You know, she pops up in WCW with Crowbar and David Flair, and it is this screaming goth girl.
The Scream Queen.
Yeah, she actually was cast for a 4-week TV deal with them as a admirer of David Flair. Vince Russo was the one who wrote that character.
Oh, no kidding. I didn't know that.
Yes. So she was somebody that wanted to know like what was going on, where to go next. And Vince has a very good tribute to Daffney over on the Vince Russo brand YouTube, if anybody wants to check that out. Daffney would end up being the second woman to become Cruiserweight champion and would hold the belt for a couple of months and drop it in a triple threat against Disco Inferno and Lash LaRue, of course. But she would stay with WCW till they closed, and then in 2001, she would try to get on with the WWE, and it just didn't click. Didn't work out. She'd work the indies, do some ROH. She was actually in TNA quite a bit, on and off as Shark Girl, alongside Shark Boy. And 2008, she would get her first big break. But in the meantime, she helped start Shimmer and push Shimmer because she felt like women's wrestlers needed more than just divas.
She did a really great thing, and she doesn't really get a lot of credit for it.
No, she doesn't. She deserves a lot more credit. She's notoriously legendary.
Yeah.
She would end up becoming the governor in TNA, and that was Sarah Palin character. She would end up coming out as the Scream Queen Daffney and this crazy character.
When I was a kid, that is the first time I ever saw Daffney. She was coming out with Abyss and Dr. Stevie and Raven.
Yeah.
And I was like, what a cool stable.
It was a damn blast.
Yeah.
And then tragedy struck with a Monsters Ball match. She took a very bad bump. Accidents happen in wrestling. She had a concussion, and she had a bipolar disorder. On top of that, she would suffer another concussion not long after, and it seemed to really affect her mental health. And that ended up leading to her stepping away from the business because the concussions and the mental health, her family finally got her to step away. She was a hell of a performer. She ended up taking her own life during, what have you, an Instagram live stream that I was watching. And I had put her back in the day as a Woman Crush Wednesday on a post. And she actually liked it and commented. She was a sweetheart of a lady. When she was deciding to go back to school in 2021, I donated. She sent some autographs and a little letter. I really hate that she's gone so soon, and I just feel like more people need to know about Daffney. She was a hell of a worker.
By all accounts, Daffney was an excellent human being.
That's the other thing. She was a decent fucking person.
And we like to talk about that here on the show. We talk about great wrestlers all day, but we also like to highlight great human beings.
Yeah, and we may start off with dick and fart jokes, but we'll throw in these nice people stories occasionally too. And Daffney was a good fucking person that deserved more in wrestling.
We love to put people over that helped us along the way or helped shape us along the way.
Yeah, and by all means, the tatted up goth girl really helped shape me in my early years.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens. But even outside of that, she she was actually a fun worker to watch.
Yeah, she was. I remember really, like I said, really enjoying that gimmick with Dr. Stevie and her and Abyss, and Raven was kind of in and out of the gimmick.
Yeah, like it was Stevie's little Dr. Stevie.
Stevie was the therapist of all these folks.
Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Stevie is actually very underrated. Stevie Richards' character work has always been very good.
Yeah, Stevie needs more credit too.
Stevie's another guy that gets no fucking credit at all, and I think it's a shame.
Yeah, another guy who we both love, the Chosen One, and hopefully nothing will happen next week, and Caleb Conley will be able to join us live until 5.
We tried to get the original Chosen One back in the old days, and maybe that'll pan out at some point. But right now, we're going with the relevant Chosen One, and that's our boy Caleb Conley.
That's right. And Caleb, hopefully, he'll be here to talk about music, wrestling, maybe some movies, maybe his time wrestling as Star-Lord in Cosplay Championship Wrestling or Cosplay Pro Wrestling.
His TNA runs is in and out of Impact Wrestling.
Caleb with a K.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be sure to catch us next week. We'll be covering JCW 71 either way and having a good time.